Hello, good afternoon, everybody. It's just me for now. Sam's going to be joining us a little bit later. But I'm Chibi Raincloud here with Cos Talk Live, and today's episode, I'm very excited because these are humans from my neck of the woods, some fellow Pacific Northwest cosplayers we're going to talk about today, and we're going to just go over some of the stuff about like how the pandemic's changed cosplay and some of the new things that have happened because of it. But yeah, why don't you guys introduce yourself?
Go. Hi, I'm Chaotic Neutral Cosplay. I've been cosplaying, 8 years? Not that long. I'm a relative
Not that
cosplay
long, he says.
baby. Everyone I know has been cosplaying for like 15 or 20 years, so I feel like a baby, okay?
You only know me?
No, I mean, like, everybody I know in the Midwest has been cosplaying since like middle school, and I started when I was like 23. So I've only been cosplaying about 8 years. But that's kind of what I do. So it's my life, and I don't know. I'm not good at introducing myself. So here's Sarah.
My first cosplay / convention was in 2003, so I'm one of those people.
But old cosplayer.
Yeah, but no, honestly, I think I've only actually really gotten decent at it though in the past like 4 or 5 years, honestly, because like before in college and high school it was more just about like hanging out with friends and like just having fun in a costume.
Should be.
It is still about that, but still, like I've actually learned how to sew, and I've actually learned like leatherworking and thermoplastics and wigs too. Yeah, in the past couple of years. But anyways, I started 2003, and then I've just been doing this since. And I don't know. I always just have a good time, have fun. But
see, that's great. I'm also one of those cosplayers that have been around for a very long time, though. I started in like, I want to say my first one was like 2007, 2009, something like that. So a couple years after you, but yeah, I've been cosplaying for a very long time. But it's something I'm very passionate about. I'm a Pacific Northwest cosplayer that does a little bit of dabbling in everything. I've done some competitions, I've done workshops, I've done this lovely show for a couple of years now, and I am also cosplaying Apple from Twisted Wonderland. I finally got this outfit. I'm so excited. This is the whole reason why I broke down. I got this cosplay at Doki Doki, which I'm quite impressed with. Like, And the week from Epic Cosplay.
Yeah, and today we're cosplaying from Token Rambu. It's a mobile game. I think it came out around 2017 in Japan.
Yeah, it's been out about 7 years.
But since then it's had like several adaptations. Like honestly, I'm a big fan of musicals, and there's like there's stage plays and musicals of it, and a couple animes actually. So Crunchyroll has both of them. If you're gonna start with Token Rambu, I'd recommend Katsugeki, because like it's a more serious and like dramatic one. The other one's just like silly and cute and fluffy, but I love it. But I don't know, basically
taking notes. I will go start there, because I know I tried watching Token Rambo at one point, but I was so lost and confused that I was like, this is a brain anime. I'll pick it back up when I have a brain.
I want to talk about it a little bit, because like honestly it's one of our current obsessions. But but seriously, like it's a bit interesting because it started as a mobile game. It's kind of a gacha game, a little bit like Genshin, where you collect the swords, but like it's actually it's historical swords.
Yeah, the premise is basically
sorry,
the characters are all the historical swords in Japan, and most of them
There's
still
a lot,
exist.
Actually,
so like once you get involved with the characters,
samurai,
you start learning a little bit about history, which is something that kind of drew me in, because if you've ever been on any of my live streams, I like history.
It teaches you history in the way that anime teaches history. I would take it with a grain of salt, but it does actually give you interesting facts. Sorry, go for it. But yeah, it does actually give you interesting facts.
But yeah, so you learn history, but like it's still out there. You have to go and investigate for yourself if you want to know the actual facts. But it's also really cool because you get to go if you're in Japan or you want to go tour Japan, you can go see these swords because they're on display.
Yeah.
You can go be like, oh, hey, I know that sword from this video game, stage play, everything else.
The coolest thing is that they give the swords personalities kind of based on their owners, though. So like they actually like interact then, and then they have to go back in history and historical events and like fight this army that's this vague entity.
Oh no, like you said history. Like that's all I need to know. Like now I'm gonna have to go and dive into this series because like I've actually been to Japan and looked at really pretty cool swords. So like that is now driven me.
I'm fair. I probably have as well. I just wasn't into the series at the time, so I was like, oh cool, it's a sword.
And it is
then left.
Token Rambu itself has been designated as like a national treasure because it's gotten so many people, like so many younger people in Japan to be interested in their own history and to go travel to see these events and like go see the shrines where the swords still are.
Oh yeah.
So it's actually really
and
cool.
The stage,
and it's very, very big in Japan. And even
very
over
in
Europe, the US fan base isn't quite as large yet.
I was surprised though by the fan base itself for a mobile game because I mean, like Genshin's obviously huge, but I've never really seen another mobile game with like a decent, or like a big fan base. But it's not like CJ was saying, it's not necessarily in the US. Yeah. But
they also just released like the English version of the game because before you had to play it in Japanese, which was difficult. If you didn't like read Japanese,
2020 era,
so
like it was released. So
so now that they've released the English version, we can go through and be like, oh hey.
I mean that's really cool because it's very fascinating. We'll introduce this human in a second, but I find it really fascinating because one of my like biggest guilty pleasure favorite thing in the whole wide world is Spice and Wolf. Like it's one of my absolute favorite animes, and though it is a fantasy, there's a lot of historical roots in it. And as a historian, like every time I read it, I pick up something new that I'm like, oh, this is actually from this time period in Italy during that. Like I got a friend into it just so I could solely talk to him about like the historical aspects of Spice and Wolf. And so
honestly, I love that.
In Japan, there is such a bigger fan base for Token Ramu and Spice and Wolf and all these other series that we don't really get to see a whole lot of love in the US because like in America, Spice and Wolf is still very under the table. Like there's a handful of like hardcore fans like me, but other than that, it's a very small fan base. And so whenever they announce things, I'm always like, why is there new Spice and Wolf? Like what is going on? But I always forget that in Japan, it's so much more popular.
Yeah, and same thing too. They do it's still an ongoing game. They keep doing new events.
There's new events, there's new musicals.
I was gonna say like I haven't even talked about the musicals. I love them.
Okay. Well, before we get into that, let's introduce this human. Let's hit some comments and then we can continue. Hello, Sam.
Hi. Sorry, I had to do a podcast before this, and then I had to let my animals out, and now I'm back.
Welcome. Nice to meet you.
Hello.
Alrighty, and we got some comments over here. So good morning, Lillian. She says new beans. Yes, we have new beans. Anthony, hello everyone. Loving your costumes. Lillian also says, Chibi, I love your outfit. Thank you. Hi, Cool Gamer and Sakura. The Hanamura anime adaptation of Token Rambu is really, really good. So
they're getting a new season too, actually. So season 3, I don't know if it's out in Japan yet.
Out in Japan, but they haven't translated.
They haven't subtitled or translated it yet. No, they haven't. They don't have it on Crunchyroll yet. But no, like so my personal favorite is the Hanamaru because it's more about the daily, the daily activity at the Hanamaru, where it's like, and you get to see the more personalities of the swords. Like they get like to just mess around, like. It's kind of more slice of life anime.
That being said, it doesn't necessarily give you a sense of what the game is about or like the characters themselves, because there's literally an episode that's just a musical episode while they're baking stuff.
Right.
And you're like, this does not make any sense. If you are familiar somewhat with the characters of the game, you're like, what's going on? So Katsugeki is a little bit easier to
I was
start
gonna
with
say,
to
I
pick
love
up
that, like, Suda,
what's going on.
They just, one episode, they just go to the store and Suda kidnaps an entire rack. Yeah, I'm just like, it's so ridiculous. And but like, I always say, like, start with Katsugeki just because it's more... Which traditional anime,
you get to see like the action sequence. You get to know some of the more popular swords and see a little bit of their personalities, and you're like, okay, like, I'm invested, but now I want to go see the actual musical.
Like CJ's involved in the series because of the history, and I just like the characters and the design. Like you like the designs too, but like I just like the personifications of them. I would just like to like imagine all of these like swords like interacting and like what they're So I'm just like. And like some of them, I'm just like, I just need to cosplay him because I am this character. Go ahead.
We have a couple of fun comments. So Cool Gamer, you're all looking awesome. Hello Thermo, nice cosplay from Anthony. And Marvelet says, can that person even see with your bangs? So
well, okay. The funny thing is this character. Like we also have nicknames for all of the sword characters, or some of them, because like, and the one we nicknamed this one Protag Kun because because he has the protag hair, the dramatic like thing. And no, honestly, this is how his hair is.
Yeah.
It's like this is a wig for this character, and it was actually much shaggier.
Yeah,
I think it was made for a larger headed person.
She just tried it on this morning, and we cut it on my live stream.
Yeah,
because like getting on here, because
like
we
I
were
literally,
this is not gonna work.
Literally,
so.
this costume arrived yesterday.
It was like down to here.
We were
like,
just
that's not gonna.
We're gonna go get some pictures, but like because these two characters go together.
Yeah.
But no,
basically
we
have the same vibes. This wig came in yesterday, so I finished styling it this morning.
Yeah,
so
my Milius wig came in
shoot.
with my horns, but I'm like, I'm gonna need to style this a lot before I wear it because I have a tiny head, so I have the curse of everything just being way too big on me.
Well, see, and that's the problem too. Like, I feel like half the wigs we get are made for large-headed people, and I'm like, who is cosplaying?
Well, and I don't have hair on either. Like, I have an undercut, so like, there's no hair here, there's no hair here, so like, it's so big.
Yeah, but no, like the wig is styled. I swear.
No,
I had
it's
to put it together down here.
Well, thank you for coming to our anime review. You guys all now know you need to go watch Token Rambu.
Yeah.
Yes, Marvel Light cosplay. This is actually my hair. So I have an undercut, but this is my hair. And I'm shaved all the way around.
Me and Thermo actually have basically the same haircut. Just gonna put that out there.
I think you and CJ too. Like, because CJ, I don't know, maybe that's just like the standard cosplayer haircut.
I shave it so I can wear a wig.
You shave it so
so
you
much
wear wigs.
easier. Yeah, no, like if everything's shaved, then I just have to pull back in a ponytail and I'm done. Like,
Oh man, well I've had the long hair cosplaying though, and like you gotta braid it and do it so it's weird, not weird and lumpy under the wig cap. Like, and I don't want to do that anymore.
cosplayers after a certain age, when you're just like, no fucks given. Like, my body is for my cosplay. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make cosplay easier.
Yes, exactly.
Alrighty, so I kind of want to just touch about like, since you guys both come from such dramatically different beginnings, being so far apart, like what was it that really like, either what was your first cosplay or what was it that really got you into like, oh, let's do this thing? Was it like, for me, for example, I grew up in a household that was actually just like dress up was just always encouraged. Like my family I had a dress up box growing up basically. And my very first convention was SoccerCon 2009, 2008, a very long time ago. And it was very like, my dad was very much like, well, you can't leave the house like that. Like, you have to wear something. And so I put together a quick costume, and my mother took me like, to soccer
encouragement.
Yeah, and so like for me, it was kind of just in our DNA because I grew up with a nerdy father who'd done conventions before I was even born, and so it was kind of like part of it. So I feel like I got very lucky with this. Like, I had a beginning. I say it's lucky, but now I'm at a point in my life where I don't know how to go to a convention without a cosplay on. Like, if I'm not at the convention center in a costume, something is wrong. So like now I have a very hard time with it. But like my beginning was very much just like, here, you're just there. And so but break down your guys' beginning. What got you into cosplay? What were some of your first cosplays?
You want me to start this time? Okay, I'll start this time. So, oh geez. Okay, so I'll start at the beginning, like how I even found out. Because like once upon a time, my parents met. No, because we all like, I don't know. I feel like we all watched like, okay, in my case, maybe dating as like Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z, and like you all watch things that are anime that you probably don't realize they're anime until like they're thing. But like I remember, I first like found out about anime and manga when, and this is really gonna date me. I found a manga serialization magazine called Animerica Extra in a Blockbuster Video.
Yes.
But no, anyways, like, and like from there, like I I kind of was already into art and drawing and like just I kind of already was into that, and so I was like I saw this like serialization of comics, and it was like manga, not like like Western comics. I'm like, oh my god, I love this. And then I pretty much origined myself because like my parents were like not I don't know how to describe that. CJ, don't laugh at me. But no, it's like I looked at like because we had like I had like my own. I was one of those like spoiled children with the computer in my room,
Yep.
and it ran. The first computer I had ran like Windows 3.1. It was amazing. anyways, I'm sorry, but no, like, so yeah, I looked up Anime Central, which is the con around Chicago, and it was like a very large convention. So like I remember my first con was ACEN 2003, and I mean, at that point, I'd already kind of looked things up. I'd saw pictures of cosplay, and my mom could only get off Sunday, so she was gonna take us there on Sunday, and I didn't know what to do or what to wear because I remember like my friends were all staying over Saturday night, I was like, I want to cosplay, I want to, but like I'm not prepared for this at all. So I stayed up all night Saturday night cutting my junior high graduation gown into a Seto Kaiba coat, and it was awful. It was shiny and one layer and terrible. But you know what? Like that's kind of how I started, and I got so much better from there. But no, I origined myself. That's the only way I can describe that.
That's beautiful.
Because I had no history. My parents did none of this.
I laugh because my second cosplay I ever did was Bakura from Yu-Gi-Oh! So like same era.
And the best part about it is so that was ACEN 2003. So ACEN 2018, 15 years later, I remade Kaiba, a better version. I did because it was a shiny blue, obviously a better version. It was a shiny blue junior high graduation gown. And I made his white coat. And that ACEN 2018 is actually the cosplay and the convention I met CJ at. So
Aw, that's so cool.
So yeah, it was worth it. It was but anyways, that's my origin story. It's not much of a thing. I saw a magazine at a Blockbuster and I went to a convention.
It's adorable.
All
Thank
right,
you.
CJ, now let us know what how did you get into this world?
I came from the entertainment industry, so I actually worked in independent film for a long time, starting when I was a teenager. So I worked, I lived out in the Midwest, so I worked in independent film, and I started in acting, and then kind of moved into, as I kind of got over acting, decided I didn't like being told I had to change everything about myself to be an actor. I moved into like costuming, so I did that. And I did, I started with like films. So I've costumed like 4 or 5 independent films as like head costumer. And then I've done, I don't know, 3 or 4 stage plays. And then kind of from there, I branched into like replica costuming. So like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars.
So you did like Ren Fair, like legit costuming.
I also did Ren Fair, yes.
Well,
so
yeah,
I did historical costuming, but I also did replica costuming.
Like,
so
seriously,
like
you are way
stuff of like from Game of Thrones, from Marvel, where I would replicate the actual screen use costumes. And then I had gotten to know a couple people who were like, "Oh, hey, you should come to this convention with us." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I kind of knew what conventions were, so I went. I actually went to Youmacon, which is also one of the
and you started
Big
with
10.
like Marvel, you said like
My first cosplay was Gambit from the X-Men.
Right, exactly.
And then I got to the con, and I was like, oh my god, I don't have to just do comic book characters.
I see, and I feel that's the other origin story. You start from comic books and then go into this.
Michigan has a lot more comic cons than anime cons. So from there, I kind of started doing my own stuff and doing more animes, and I did a lot of video games. I used to do Dragon Age, Skyrim, that sort of stuff. I guess Token Rambu.
I was going to say, like, if you want to come around full circle, because we also cosplay Genshin now.
Yeah, so like, and then I kind of got into Danmei, which is just
Chinese media, Chinese
it's specifically gay.
BL.
Because
yeah.
So I enjoy doing a lot of boys with long hair and robes that have tragic backstories.
Also
because
the costumes are
my
very pretty.
thing. And the costuming is stunning. So I still do a lot of replica costuming from
we also had
like
a whole JoJo
various
era.
and sundry just different medias over there. So that's where I get into it, I guess. So not that exciting.
I mean, it's just no. It's
But,
like mine is yours actually has some substance. You did film and like Ren Fair and historical costume, and then you went into comic books, and then you went into anime, and I'm like, I don't know. I've been doing the same thing for like I don't know.
I mean, I think that's pretty normal though, like because me and Sarah, we've been part of cosplay before. Like it was just kind of there, and like it was such a small niche that you have to either have that media like kind of spoon fed to you, otherwise you never know it exists. Because like my first anime was like Lotus War and Slayers, but also Sailor Moon and stuff. But like, well, my dad watched it, and so it was something that was in my house that I just remember growing up with. And then my parents, for some reason, decided that they liked Japanese cartoons like Pokemon and Sailor Moon, Digimon, more than they liked American cartoons. So I just wasn't allowed to watch American stuff because they're like, it has no substance. They can't teach anything. But Pokemon, you learn friendly lessons.
You know, the hilarious thing about that is that like my moral, like I tell CJ this, a lot of my moral lessons were from anime.
No,
I'm not
she
even
means
kidding.
Your moral lessons are from Ace Attorney.
Oh no, like not always. Like, but yeah, like Trigon and like God, there's just so many that like just had like really good moral messages.
Right. I remember in Sailor Moon, the very end of like the VHS tapes, they always had this like little clip at the very end of every episode about like doing good for like a way that you can help save the world kind of concept. And I don't know if it was just like the Deke version or something, but the one I watched had these like after lessons, and so my mom loved them, and so like. I just was raised with this like mentality, but we see a lot of people now from many different lots of life coming into anime because it's no longer a super niche. Like if you get into comic books or even the Renaissance, you're bound to run into cosplayers from anime and other like, places.
We cosplayed Genshin at the Ren Fair. We absolutely did. And everyone was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And we totally saw you and didn't recognize you.
So, oh, yeah, that's right. I remember we were at the Ren Fair.
That's what I get for not knowing Genshin, though, because like the funny thing was, me and my friends were like, "Okay, how long is it going to take before we see a Genshin character?" As a joke, and you guys happened to be the first Genshin people we saw, but I never saw your guys' faces, so I'm like, "Well, they're pretty Genshin. I wonder where my friends are."
That's amazing.
But that's how it is, and like I think that's such a fascinating, but like a lovely, like I guess we can kind of use this to like talk about how anime and like the cosplay community has changed, especially during the pandemic, because a lot of us, like me and Sarah, started with like going to conventions, like really getting into it by being with the people and like really being part of it. And I'm sure CJ in the beginning for you, like also it was very much like a personal experience. And then when that pandemic hit, like no conventions, like it was such a different experience for us who were primarily just con people to suddenly be kind of thrown in this world where, okay, now you don't have your crutch anymore, what do you do? And
right. Well, and I was gonna say, like, I know honestly, like I think it was hard just not seeing people, especially because you couldn't go anywhere. And like honestly, so at the time also he kind of actually just moved out here over the pandemic. So because he lived in Michigan, because we met in ASIN in Chicago 2018, and then like he moved out here, and literally everything.
The day I got out here was the day before everything like just
and like it was harder for him because like I at least knew some people out here, and like
I had like 2 people that I knew out here. So
and that's just the thing too. It's like, but also like I feel like a lot of my cosplay friends over the pandemic just stopped, and so like I still talk with them, but like we don't like it's not like before. We don't plan cons or anything.
It's just for a lot of people
to continue
continue the motivation to cosplay over the pandemic.
Yeah, when you don't see people, when you don't have things to deadlines, like I got to make this by con.
Because I think initially we're all like, oh, it'll clear up by fall, so everybody was initially in that rush of, well, let's make something new, something big that we really want to over the next couple months while we're waiting for everything to clear up, and then it just never cleared up and ended up being 2 years, and everyone just kind of got discouraged.
And I'm like, it's sad. I mean, at the same time,
Which
like
is kind of
I understand
sad.
it because,
but at the same time, you've seen a boom of like younger cosplayers, which is awesome.
Because what else are you gonna do when you're
Cosplay
And then
became the
TikTok
thing to
became a
do
big
on
thing,
TikTok,
yeah.
which we definitely participated in.
Oh yeah, we got in like that was fun. It's still fun. I like doing TikToks. Yeah,
but it's just been very it's a very different cosplay world.
Well, like you said, hard to keep up motivation.
Yeah. I saw a lot of that too, especially on my end, because I know I suffered from that a lot. Because when the pandemic first happened, I basically did nothing online. My Instagram and stuff was pretty dead. I'd post pictures every once in a while, maybe a whip here and there, but like I was so bad with the internet that I just kind of like pandemic happened and I just started playing D&D. That's all I did.
And that's the thing too. For CJ especially, because it's not necessarily about the cosplay, but it's also about the people connection. And I mean, a lot of people just weren't on the social media as much. They cosplayed, but you met them at cons and you talked at cons, and it
was interesting because you have the older cosplay community, which technically we're a part of, but we are more, at least I'm more online. But it's the younger cosplay community that's more online and more active. So like, it was almost like you had to rebuild entirely
friend groups
during the pandemic with people who were online. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that. I have a Discord server that's got some amazing younger cosplayers in it, and it's cool to be able to be like, wow. Like,
I'm gonna bring up a comment right now too, because we have so Jenna Harris said lots of love from Katori Tsuno. Glad to see you two here. Thank you for hosting all the Zoom JoJo cons in the last few years. So yeah, so we have some people here that know you guys from your wonderful work online.
We miss you too.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, and that's kind of like as where we were going with this. Because like basically, so
one of the things we did. Yeah. Sorry.
Go for it.
Is we decided pretty early on that we wanted to run an online con. I think we did that during May of the 2020. We ran an online con that was just my con, like chaotic con.
Yeah.
And we had invited a bunch of our friends who were good with like foam and thermoplastic and waves.
Yeah, and we
did like a 2-day event. We did some panels and some like Zoom meetups where everybody could just come and chat about different stuff. So we did that.
But also 2020 was our big JoJo era. So
we started seeing
we're like, we could do both
like
of these
online
things.
cons.
Yeah.
And we were like, well, what if we ran a JoJo con? So we actually ended up running like 6 or 7.
Yeah, it was a lot.
We did multiple events a year with our JoJo.
Yeah, throughout 2020, 2021. We did one this year. We did one this year in January.
We might do another one next year. We'll see.
Yeah, because honestly, so basically, on the format of an online con is it is a Discord server, and it's still like you have character panels and tutorial panels.
So you just go on like a Zoom or streaming service similar to here, and people talk about.
And we actually, because like the other thing about cons is that you get to like kind of just chill in like the main hall and like chat with people. So we actually just had like come hang and chat, like
and. I think I saw a lot of people being like, "Oh, it's an online con. I don't really want to go," and a lot of
it was fun, though.
Negative. Like, I just don't want to. I don't think they're going to be as good as a normal con. But then, like everyone who gave it a chance had such a good time.
Because the thing is, like, there's also things.
I think about online cons is you're not limited by where you live.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We
had people from like Australia, from Europe, from like. Brazil, from like Canada, all over attending this con. The cons that we ran.
Is Australia? England.
No, Kotori's US.
Kotori's US. Okay, never mind. Coda Kitty's England.
Coda Kitty's England, and then Rad's in Australia.
Rad's in Australia. Okay, jeez, I'm just
I
like
can't ever
mixing
remember
up
the
people
username,
now.
but there was like a core group in Brazil that came. So
that's like
we got to meet people that otherwise we would never meet. Because they would never be able, there's a very slim chance we'd ever make it to the same con because of the different
The other thing that was awesome was, because JoJo was a big boom thing, but the other thing that was awesome is that there's things you can do in, like, Zoom panels that you can't do in normal panels. Honestly, there was a couple times when I had to be, like, a couple different characters.
Yeah, and you just, like, duck off and throw a different wig on and then come back on and be like, no,
so, like, for character panels, if you don't have all the characters, I'm just like, I actually had to do one where I had to switch from a bearded character to a non-bearded character to a bearded character, so I made like a little like face mask, like it's a face mask, but just has like a little cutout here for the. Yeah, it was great.
Oh my gosh!
That's one thing that's different about conventions in different places. So Chibi's talked about this too. You have conventions where people come as those characters and essentially represent those characters in a panel and answer questions or perform actions. That is not allowed in my state because we had so many trolls that every convention in Arizona is pretty much banned in character panels because we could not get them to moderate it safe enough. And yet I attended them in like Seattle and in places, and I've seen some from that have been recorded online, and people were very respectful. So it's unusual seeing too how different regions affect what the panel content would be.
That's so sad because like I love in character panels.
Yeah.
So we for this specifically, that's another thing that online cons could do though, because like we had a moderator on every panel, and if somebody was being like we told everyone, we had a speech beforehand. It's like
you can mute them. You can just be like bye.
You can mute them, and like we told everyone the characters are the only, because like
the characters, like
sometimes with JoJo, people
actually the characters. Be respectful of them. Be respectful of the presentation.
Like you might not like a character, but you can't harass the panelist.
You can leave the panel, you know, or we have a moderator here to step in and moderate things.
Yeah, that's so cool. And no, it's so funny because the first time I ever ran a panel with Sam, because Sam had come up to me and did Emerald City, and that was my first Emerald City actually. So Sam's like, oh well, we'll just do a couple of panels. We ended up doing a Ruby panel, and it was a Q&A, but like out of character. Like we were cosplaying, but we were talking like about the series, and I was like, this is so weird because the only panels I'd ever done in character were in character panels. And so we had this long conversation about like how in Arizona they don't have that. But you're right, like the nice thing about online cons is it breaks down a lot of barriers and it brings in a lot of ideas from other parts of the world. And like one of the things I always say that one of my favorite panels I've ever ran was actually, or helped out in, was my partners panel. My partner Sakura ran a basically like a competition panel, like how to get into competitions and what to do. And we had Sam with us, which was really great. And then we also had AK Wiru with us. So we had an American, a Canadian, another American, but from the Southwest, and then Wiru, who had experience from all over the world. And hearing the differences of how every single con handled every single costume contest and like the variety of how things were handled, I learned a million things in that panel that I had never, even though I had done that panel with my partner before and watched her run it a bunch of times, I learned so much because of the experience of getting other people from around the world.
It's also just like, you know, certain people from like, you're not always going to get like an expert on certain. So, I mean, even some of the cosplay building panels, it's like you get experience from all around the world. I mean, time zones get a little tricky. Time zones are a thing.
So you learn to get really good at Googling time zone.
Yeah, but for the most part, like people were like, I'm staying up till 3 a.m. to just be on this panel because
you know, so Anime Next had an online con, I think it was last year, and they messaged us and said, hey, would you guys be interested in streaming? So we streamed for 4 hours for them, but they were East Coast and most of us were West. So we were up, gosh, was it like 6, 7 a.m.?
was the first
the
panel.
broadcast
It was 6.
It's like
6 to 9 a.m.
mug of coffee. God, I'm like, I am this person. I'm just like.
Well, we decided we were going to be smart, and our first panel was getting ready in cosplay, and so we were doing a makeup tutorial and talking about our costumes and like getting into them, and then it went into like cosplay 101, and then like we built up to like props.
Yeah, we had getting ready, then we had 3D printing. And then we had something about attending virtual panels, and then we talked about like streaming online, and it was a good progression. But that's one thing that I agree with you. We've had people from the UK on the stream before, and it's always tricky, even just different time zones in the US because there's so many. Which I mean, my time zone doesn't change. So I'm in Arizona. My time zone doesn't change. I'm still blown away that this happens in a digital age. I'm like, why?
My time zone gets to change in the next couple of weeks, and I'm going to be different than this
I
time.
was going to say that's why I was double checking because it said noon MST, and I'm like, yeah, I double checked at the time for this because it's still the same PST right now. But
right now, but in the next couple of weeks it will not be, and so it's just so complicated.
Yeah, and honestly,
the cool thing though, the Senate approved the bill to end daylight savings, and I believe that's happening next year. I think after this last change, starting in 2023, whatever time zone it is in 2023 is what it's staying at. So
I'm sure. So because I'm so
the government can control time.
I just honestly, daylight savings is weird.
Okay, so let's go back over some
comments. The mountain time one is weird. Sorry.
So we have some chatting. Let's so I don't. Sorry, I'm far back. So VV or Vitching hours. I hope I said that right. Nicknames are always a great way to remember characters. We were talking about Tuck and Rembo earlier, and like when you have animes with large casts, it's always great to have that kind of memory. Marvelite was talking about Thermo's hair and how it fooled us. So, and then we have the comment from Jenna. Oh, Marvelite said, this may come out as weird, but Chibi's listening face is very pretty. Thank you. I just get very focused. Like, I have to be staring. I'm just a very focused human. Jenna gave a heart to and then woo, shout out to GDC, loving, sending love from Pocket.
Oh, Pocket, no, yeah. DDC was our online green, like our online JoJo Con. That's the name of it, Green Dolphin Con. The Instagram still exists if y'all want to go check that out. We're gonna.
That's so fun.
Yeah, because like so basically we had an Instagram platform, we had Discord, and then the meetings were over Zoom because it was much easier to do that rather than a Discord chat. And then like honestly, this is so cool because we did like live, because I mean there's other things you could do in online con that you can't do. Like we did live drawing panels. Pocket hosted a lot of really amazing ones, and like there we go. Our last event was a murder mystery. Actually, clue murder mystery. So basically that one was a game format. So basically we had panelists in character, and they had different rooms set up in Discord, and you had to go into each room, interview them to get the clues, and then at the end of it we had like skits. We had like we had a beginning skit where all the characters interacted and something happened, someone died, and then we had then you had a couple hours. Someone was kidnapped the last time. And someone was kidnapped the last time, but then you got like an hour or so to like go in the different Discord rooms and interview the characters. And then we had a mid skit where something else happened and you learned an additional clue. And then you had another hour
like an actual interview. Like escape room style thing at the end where you had to go through and like tell the characters what you wanted them to
like
look
investigate
at in the room,
this thing in the corner.
Hold up, like clues to be like, oh, this is a red herring. Oh, this means.
Yeah,
somebody
this is a blue
X
strap
shoes,
of fabric that means that the character was
wearing blue
or something.
Et
so
cetera.
so basically that was our last event, and it was really cool because like, and then at the end you guess who you think did the kidnapping or murder in the first one, because this is the second time. That's the second game we played. Yeah, but yeah, I remember that. That was fun.
That's so cool, and like that is it's so interesting because I feel like we're starting to get this kind of hybridization of like online cons and in-person cons now, where we're seeing a lot more communication. Because like I'm part of a convention Discord right now, and it's so interesting because like I didn't actually do any online cons except for the one we did on the East Coast, which I just paneled for. Just because I wasn't necessarily comfortable with the online thing. I'm becoming more comfortable with online now, obviously. But like
it's really good.
Yeah, but it was really hard for me to like adjust because I don't know, maybe I'm one of those people from the older generation. But like it took me a long time to really grasp the idea of doing cosplay online because I didn't have a community online. I didn't have friends. It was just really challenging for me. And now that like I'm kind of back doing what I love on like in person, I'm starting to like pick up these online Discords and like these convention Discords and joining things. And I'm definitely starting to get like I finally understand like the joys of online conventions and stuff like that.
For one thing,
CJ. No.
And like we met technically online, but then met in person because of group meetup, and like I'm finally getting that like, oh, online is great and you can use it to kind of balance your in-person experience.
Well, and that's the thing at 2020 there was nothing else like and like I know it's like it's hard to go from like
still difficult.
I have things to do to like literally
it's still difficult
there's so
to
much
go
time
back to online like in-person stuff because I'm immunocompromised. So like there's certain conventions that aren't very safe with their regulations. They're just like, no, everything's fine, no regulations, just
fortunately the Pacific Northwest is pretty good.
Has been pretty good about that, so I feel safer going to stuff here. But it's hard going to conventions in other states that I used to go to that all my friends are going to.
It's a lot of anxiety.
Because I'm like, well, maybe everything would be fine, but what if it's not? What if I, catch something and I end up in the hospital or worse? So it's a lot of, and I feel like people don't realize that this is still something that people who are immunocompromised are still dealing with.
Yeah.
So it's still very difficult to go back full time to like in-person stuff where there's just no regulations about, just to,
but
and sometimes not even consideration for people who are immunocompromised. It's just, it's difficult. So it's nice to still have that online community to go and be able to do stuff where I'm like, I know it's just an online con, but it's safe. And I can talk to my friends and I don't have to worry about being like, okay, I have to remember to sanitize. I have to like poke people away with a stick when people get too close. And actually
with the online cons, like we actually went out to other cosplayers and be like, hey, be a part of this. So we actually kind of grew our cosplay friends from that. Like Kotori, we met through that. And like seriously, like it's
a lot of friends that we've made in the past couple of years have been from the online cons. So it's been,
because like it's scary to talk to people. I know, but it's kind of less
about the online cons is it's easier sometimes to talk to people online because like they don't have to look you and you're like, okay, I can just talk to this person and it's not as intimidating. Yeah, it's not as intimidating. It's easier to talk to people online sometimes.
Yeah, here are the two different types of introverts in the world. I am so much better in person. Like online, I have such a harder time making a conversation with a person because I'm just like, I don't know what their body language is. So I have a hard time reacting because I can't read into those fine-tuned things that I thrive on. And so like, it took me a long time to be comfortable online. Now I'm loving it. Like I very much enjoy Pentagon's Discord. Like the con is still a whole month away, but I'm so hyped, like absolutely hyped about the con because we're planning events. There was just they just did like a Mario Party thing, and it's been so much fun, like being involved. And it's not just a 3-day thing anymore. Like it is a month thing. Like we're such a big community. We talk about cosplay, we talk about gaming, and these are all people that I know I'm going to get to meet and be part of and like interact with at this convention. And so like I am so excited, and it's such a new experience to me. Like I've never had I don't even know what the word is for it, but just like the idea of like I'm making this community of people that I've never actually met yet, and I'm super excited that I finally do get the experience. And like knowing that the con isn't over once the con is over also is very nice, because I'm like, oh well, once the con's over, we still have the Discord, we still have social media, we still
have our waiting server too. The Discord for Green Dolphin Con. So it's still a cool community. And I'm just like, I mean, that's something I wish. Like I know you're like more like easy to reach out online, but I just wish more people and cosplayers in general would like reach out to other cosplayers and like.
Again, I feel
that's
like
kind of a thing that
the difference between the younger cosplayers and the older cosplayers too, though, because it's just a lot of us. Some of us grew up online, talking to people online anyway, and some of us grew up talking to people in person.
That is fair, because the older cosplayers were just like, I would like to see your face.
I'm an older cosplayer, but I'm online a lot.
Yeah, I'm an older cosplayer, but I've grown up with technology. Like my dad put me on like one of the first color Apple computers and was like, learn. And so I've been using technology. I mean, I work in cybersecurity, just to give you an idea. I love technology. So I understand that feeling, but that's kind of one of the reasons we started Talk Live, so that we could start reaching people in a grander scale, and then it just escalated, and now we've been able to start bringing in more cosplayers because I think we all enjoy the ability to connect with others, and every person has their own limitations, but doing the digital medium tends to open it up to a broader spectrum.
No, I think I love this, honestly. It's very cool to just kind of come and chat about cosplay with people and like be like, I really love this series, go watch it.
So nice just to have seen cosplay grow from being like individual spots where you're like, oh, you're the California person, oh, you're from the Midwest community, the California community. Everything's kind of blended all into one now because of the online digital media, where we can reach out and be like, oh, I have friends in Australia.
We're planning to go.
A lot of friends in Germany. We're actually
planning to go to a German con in 2024, just because like we know so many people there, and they're like, we want to cosplay with them, and they want to cosplay with us, and it's just like amazing.
It's so cool because like even 5 years ago, it would have been crazy for me to be talking to so many people from Germany, because you're like, I would never meet these people. Why would I talk to them? And nobody was active online.
People, but no, they're just cosplayers like us.
It's just really more people have moved online and started talking, and were able to.
That's how Talk Live has really been evolving, and like I still thank Sam every opportunity I get, because during the pandemic, I was stagnant. I had no idea what to do. I dropped off the planet. I stopped cosplaying. My media went quiet. And Sam was like, join me. One episode, Sunday morning, join me. And I happened to have the day off. And so I was like, what do I have to lose? So I put a costume on for the first time in like almost 2 years. And I did the show. And now it's years later and I'm still doing the show.
That's the thing too. It's like, that's why I feel like a lot of my friends who were in cosplay before, like they just kind of fell off. Like there
was no in-person community over the pandemic, so you almost.
Well, there's a lot of people that broke down. Like for instance, some of the other hosts and I were still practicing our costumes for WonderCon because they hadn't canceled it, even though there was a quarantine. They're like, oh, it's just 3 weeks and then we'll be fine, and we'll be okay. Yep. So we were still making our costumes and practicing, and then the message came out, no, pretty much everything's getting canceled. And so I think a lot of people fell into depression, like circumstances, like depression can come about too from circumstances, right? And I think that's what happened too. And some people never recovered from that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping now.
Honestly, like it's nice. I've seen Jay Body Doubles has been back active on Instagram, which has been really nice to see, because there was a couple of our good friends just got so overwhelmed during the pandemic, they stopped and they kind of left, and that's
so like,
and some of them stopped cosplaying. And if that's where you're at, that we're like, we still support you. Like we miss seeing you at conventions, but like you're happy. You found a different hobby. This makes you happy.
I still might try to get you in costume though.
We might be like, you want to come back because we're gonna be in your home state. Or at least meet up.
Because like that's the thing too. It's like the connection we made. We can maybe try to get some of them back into it. Because honestly, I plan to cosplay till I'm like 87 at the minimum. Yeah, I don't know.
And like that's we are seeing, it's nice because we are seeing people kind of come back out of the woodwork now that like cons are in person and there's people again. I mean, it's true though, because there's a good handful of my cosplay friends that like finally after this entire pandemic, like they're finally kind of coming back into it, where it's like, oh hey, I can go back to a convention again, which is really nice. And like I'm very happy to see friends coming back to this, because I honestly, I was one of those people that questioned myself during the pandemic. I'm like, do I continue doing this? Like, what if it is online forever? Like, we don't know what's going to happen. A couple of years ago, we were just left in the dark. And so I just was like, what do I do? Like, there's no reason for me to cosplay anymore. And until I started doing Cos Talk Live. And then every Sunday I had a reason to get up and get dressed. And then I started working on costumes again. And
see, that's the motivation that cons give. It's a reason to get up and get dressed. But honestly, I feel like there were some things that filled the void, like TikTok filled the void, because like, we want to get up and make TikToks and it's fun. And I
use Instagram Reels because again, I work in cybersecurity. I got some fisticuffs with TikTok. TikTok and I got some privacy problems.
Fair, like I mean, I love Instagram Reels too. It's honestly
TikTok's better. I admit that it's a better tool, but
I like the filters better, and I feel there's more interaction. And I mean, that's why you cosplay online, because you want people to be like, "Oh, that's cool," or like comment like, "Hey, good." Like I don't know. I mean, it's also cool to just be like, "I'm karaokeing in a costume."
And like. And I think that's it's kind of the nice thing that came out of all of this is not only are we getting more interactions like as a community together and like bringing more people together.
You made it mainstream by bringing it into the public eye.
Yeah, by bringing it to TikTok and bringing it to Instagram, we're trying to make these platforms more like better for us. And so we're actually like fighting for these platforms to take better care of their artists and their cosplayers, which is really nice. Like at first I was really iffy with a lot of the younger generation, but like I've learned so much from all these new cosplayers that are coming into this with brand new eyes that didn't grow up with
some of these things that, like, I love special effects. Like this is just a little bit of like, because my skin's completely indented. It's just some rigid collodion and eyeshadow, but it's one of those things that like I've learned some things like toilet paper and Prosaid, and I did an entire ghoul look from Fallout a couple weekends ago, and people kept asking me where I bought my mask from. I'm like, this is literally toilet paper.
Yep. See, okay, like I feel like there's a lot more professionals getting involved in the community now, and like honestly, so like So like there's just
I don't
younger.
think that there's more professionals. I think it's that the walls between the professional and the unprofessional, like people who do
Are
it for a
breaking
hobby,
down.
I mean,
Yeah.
some of like the little adhesives or makeup tips that they use
so
are
like
more
it's
accessible.
easier to talk to professionals because the professionals are like, yes, I also want to talk to you because I miss people. And
Yeah.
it's just being, it's again with the digital media, I feel like it just draws, it takes away
Takes away the
Very-
barriers.
yeah, you know, it kind of levels the playing field where you're like, okay, everybody's more or less on the same
Mhm.
field
Well, and
now.
I think the benefit of the pandemic too, it also helps people reevaluate who they are because a lot of individuals define themselves by their careers and their careers only. And now more people are saying, yeah, my career makes my money, but that money funds my hobby, which feeds my soul.
And like a lot
Yeah.
of people did rehash it. Like I completely changed my username and everything about my platform over the pandemic because the pandemic kind of opened my eyes to that. I wasn't necessarily happy with where my media was going and what I was comfortable with.
Mhm.
And so like I was able to use the pandemic to kind of hit a reset button.
Oh, it
And-
gave you time. It gave you time. I mean, and like I love the younger cosplayers coming into all of this
Mhm.
now, and they have so much more resources than we did before.
Yeah.
I remember
it's so
scouring eBay for party wigs, and I'm like, my God, it's come so far.
Right. You can find anything you need now. It's so easy.
Yeah, I mean,
And it's also cool for me as even though I'm still a younger,
well,
I'm older, but I'm still newer to cosplay. I guess that's the way I want to phrase
Yeah, there
it.
we
But
go.
it's cool to see the younger cosplayers who are
learning sewing.
learning sewing, who are coming in, who are so excited about this hobby to be like, this is, I was like this
Like they
once.
still want to learn
This
the
was me
skills. It's
once.
great because
You
I'm
know,
like, yeah,
I
like
want to see that.
you
I
can
want
buy
to
more, but you
encourage
can do
them. I
better.
want to inspire them to keep learning, to be like, yes.
I also like seeing like the 80, 60, 70, 80-year-olds like, can I do this? Yes, you can.
Mhm.
And
Oh yeah, that's gonna be me.
My mother has just in the
Oh, yeah,
past
you
couple
love
years
that
gotten
cosplay.
into
I love it. It's so
cosplay,
adorable.
so it's pretty cool.
She
Yeah,
like
my mom's in her 50s and she cosplays with us and she absolutely adores it. She's like, I didn't think I'd have this much fun. And she's like, you know, people are gonna make, I'm like, no, your body, don't let people shame you for your body or your age. You are beautiful. If you love that character, then go for it. Like she loves being baby Groot and she wears the big she wears the like overalls that he wears and then she puts on this mask and I mean everybody loves little baby.
my favorite thing though is that CJ's mom likes being bearded characters.
Absolutely. She's got to pick the ones with, and they're
I
not
would
just
not
like
peg that
big
for her,
beards. They're
but
like
hey.
the really neat, tidy beards. That I'm
Please
like,
tell
Mom,
me that
you
she's
guys
been
have to do
stoic
it.
from How to Train Your Dragon. Like we
Yeah.
need a stoic.
Well, we're coming up to our last 10 minutes. So if you guys have any other questions for Chaotic Neutral and Perfection, anything about maybe their online con, who they are, what they do, we'll also do a quick share of everybody's social medias. But yeah, pop those questions in for those last 10 minutes. This has been so much fun. And honestly, this has been really refreshing because I think the last time we had a talk about Pandemic Con, there was kind of like a balance of like negative things that happen and positive. And so like, you can't help but to worry about some of the negative stuff. But like, really and truly, we have gained so much from this pandemic. And like, we've learned new things are more accessible. There's more people in the community willing to like bring us all together. And like you guys, I now want to look more into online con stuff because it sounds so much fun.
Yeah.
And
yeah, because I was gonna say we are thinking about doing another JoJo one, and we were actually we didn't even get into it. Our big obsession now is Danmei and Chinese media,
yeah.
so we're thinking of maybe even doing an online
Probably do a
Danmei
Danmei
con
con.
because we have so many people who follow us for that now, and we're friends from that we can be rope in to be like, hey, let's do a character panel, and we can get all 8 characters from this thing because like that also never happens at a real con.
Yeah.
Like, because then you can be
So
like,
that's also really cool because also the benefit of cosplaying online is you don't need the full costume.
right, that's true too. Like you could do a casual version and you're still the character and they're interacting with you as that character.
I have so many costumes I made over the pandemic that don't have
that
pants.
don't have pants, yeah, because like
Because you don't see anything from the waist up, so why would you make
I mean, fair, 99% of the time I'm not wearing pants on streams. So like I get it. Like today I'm doing videos, so I actually have the whole costume on, but like, you know, why not?
Yeah, so no, like, yeah, so we're thinking about doing that. So I mean, like, if you're interested in one to try one, like, I know we're thinking about running another one.
Yes,
Depends.
yes, definitely. No, and it's just been so lovely. And like, I feel like with a lot of the negativity, because there has been some negativity with new people coming into the community, and like that's going to happen no matter what part of community you're in. Like once new faces come in and new questions get asked, there's going to be just negativity. But like, honestly, if you look past that and see how much the community has grown in the last 2 years and how many resources have been gained because of it, like this honestly has been such an amazing opportunity. Like, look at this cosplay. I bought it. I bought this cosplay. 10 years ago, I would not have said that. Like, this would have been like a $400 commission. I got it for $50. Like,
that's the thing too. It's like the costumes you could buy back then were like Asian, like tiny sizes, and like you got to get like the triple XL.
Yeah, I'm like almost 5'10", and I am a curvy AF girl.
Yeah. So like now we can buy things and they're reasonable.
There's sizes in a lot of different places, and it's just we make about half and half. What we can't find good resources for, like, because a lot of stuff has.
That's
you
the
can
thing.
buy
It's
it
like
now,
if I could buy a good version,
quality.
I would rather buy it, and then I could focus my making energies to something that I can't buy or that I'm really invested in making.
So it's so nice to be like, you know, I can spend a couple $100 and have an entire costume, like custom made boots, custom
and it's
things,
something like, and we do make like ridiculous things still,
and we still make
but like
we still make a lot of ridiculous stuff. But like it's also nice to just like have it.
Yeah.
So Jenna Harris says, I'm always down for more online cons with y'all. Glad to see you both doing well. Thank you, Chibi and Thermo, for inviting them. Yeah. We are very happy to have had you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for inviting us.
I'm excited. Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Because sorry, back to that vein. But that concept of like you can just buy things and it's there. Because before the pandemic, I made everything. I had a singular costume, and it was my Iwatobi jacket, because I don't make sports jackets. Like, that is it. I literally made everything from scratch, because that was the type of cosplayer I was, and that's what I appreciated, and like that's what I put a lot of my energy into. I've gotten older. I have tendonitis. I don't have the same ability nor time to make every single piece of costume that I want. And now I can just Google it, and within a month I have this beautiful thing. I've already worn it for 2 different characters, and I'm going to wear it for 2 more by the end of October. Like,
I don't know if you guys can see it, but behind the paper bag, which has a bunch of rivets and an awl and a punching tool, is approximately 4.5 yards of leather, because it's Chibi's fault.
Yeah,
because it's going to be Farm from Record of Lotus War.
Oh, it's going to be, nice. Yes. I'm excited.
So
I'm
just getting everybody into Lotus and just making you guys all join me.
I was already into Record of Lotus War, because like I also want to cosplay from it now too, because like that's the thing too. It's like back in the day there were series that I was big into, but I knew I couldn't make it. Like so I was like,
so many more
and I couldn't buy it. So like
honestly,
I've been doing a whole throwback era right now.
Even just like making cosplays, even if you like. Buying cosplays is one thing, but also if you want to make stuff, there's so many more resources out there now. There's like, if you want to make it, someone has already made it or done a tutorial.
Because I was going to say,
or like because you taught me how to make it. So like
you actually
can
taught
Google
me
it, and there'll be 7 videos to do whatever. So like it's very easy to learn how to make stuff, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, because you actually taught me like leather work, and like, and honestly, that's the thing. It's like it's not hard. Like once you get over the stigma of like, oh no, I have to like cut an actual cow, and like, I name the cows now. Whenever we buy a leather hide, I name them. But anyways, yeah.
It's okay. Well, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, it's already sourced. I go to Tandy Leather, and they try to source very ethically. But then I also like they're doing more vegan leather. I love vegan leather. I just need it to get like a little bit thicker. It's getting to it's good for making soft leather items, but it's not quite there for like armor.
Yeah.
Like wigs are so much easier to get. Like I hate dyeing things. That's my partner's thing. If I need something dyed, I hand it to Sakura.
See, I don't dye stuff, Chibi. I just paint it with fabric paint.
And so like I found the perfect wig that took like maybe 10 minutes of styling this morning. Like it is my favorite thing, and it was easy and cheap. And I'm so happy.
Same thing with this. This is a wig for this character, and I'm just like, wow, that's amazing that they have
It's so nice that they have wigs for the characters that even when I started cosplaying, you avoided those because you're like, these are going to be awful wigs. If they're for the character, you don't get them.
Like the lace cap underneath them was always like turned wrong and itchy, and it felt horrible.
Or it was too small, or
the wefts were too far apart.
the wefts were too far apart, or
Yeah,
it was
that
like
was the big thing
spiking
with the
horrible.
Halloween wigs.
Yeah.
Well, no,
and like now we get wigs. Half of our wigs come from Amazon.
Right. Oh yeah, and we have like different. It's more than Arta now. There's Wigs Fashion. There's I mean, Epic started.
Epic and Arta were around.
Arta was the first. Arta was the first one that was ever around.
A lot of our Genshin wigs are from Doki Doki, and they're really good wigs, and I can spike them, and they're perfectly fine. There's no like weft showing. And like, there's some of the best spiking wigs that I've ever worked with.
My favorite though is that crazy. Like this wig is for this character and it still looks unstyled because his hair is literally a mop. And I did cut it and style it, but it's still just a mop. It's amazing.
And that's like that's awesome. And if anybody has any questions about like places to buy cosplays or wigs or anything like that, you can join Cos Talk Live's Discord. I actually have a room for those kinds of questions. I also have a list of basically where to buy things, what websites are great with short reviews about every website. I have basically compiled all of my friends' listings of where they buy wigs and costumes, and I put them into a review list. So if you're interested, come join our Cos Talk Live Discord.
I'm on it.
You can just message any of us and we'll give you a list. But yeah, like we can give you a list of places to buy stuff, because like honestly, when you're getting too tired and old for this, like I pick one cosplay that is like, that's my build for the year. And then now I just kind of half-ass the rest of them or put them together or just kind of have fun builds. So, but that is 1 o'clock. So we managed to fill another hour of Cos Talk Live.
Of course. We could go on for a while, but yeah.
But is there a quick outro, anything you want to tell any new cosplayers or other people out there, and then tell us where they can find you?
I went first last time.
Oh, thank you for putting me on the spot. I guess for new cosplayers, I would say if there's something like I've been seeing a lot of gatekeeping lately where people want to get into something and they're like, or it's something like Genshin where they're like, I love the characters, but I just don't have the time to play it, so I'm afraid to cosplay from it. Or even Token where they're like, I love the characters, but I don't want to play the game because I just don't have the time. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't know where the stigma came from that you have to be so in-depth into the thing that you can. We went to Rose City a couple weeks ago, and I was walking by, somebody was like, okay, you like this series? How many episodes are there in the second season? And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, no, that shouldn't be what we're doing as cosplayers. Like, gatekeeping shouldn't be what we're doing. We're here to have fun. So, like, it doesn't matter if you know the character or you're just like, I really like how this character looks, I want to cosplay them. Have fun. Like, that's what really matters. Don't let somebody stop you having fun, and don't feel that like guilty or like I can't cosplay from this because I don't know every single thing. Because that's not what cosplay is about. Cosplay is about having fun and feeling good in costume and making new friends. So.
And he's Chaotic Neutral Cosplay.
Oh, and I'm Chaotic Neutral Cosplay. I'm mostly active on Instagram. I do live streams there a couple times a week. I also have a Discord. I'm on TikTok under Firelord Dobby.
There's a whole link tree.
They dropped the link tree for me in the chat. I am also on Twitter under Neutral Cosplay. Yeah. So now you can go.
Okay. I don't know. My advice is just to talk to people. Like, we all want a community and we all want friends. So we're scary, but we're not.
We're probably just as anxious and scared as you are.
To varying levels. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, online or thing, it just, if you're really into a series and you want to talk to me about the series that I like too, like, yeah, I would like that. And then I'm Fekshen. It's very pretentious, but I wasn't thinking when I chose this handle. But I'm actually the opposite. I'm very like, he's more perfectionist than I am. But yeah,
she's chaotic.
Right. It's funny. But I think you dropped the link tree. I have to. It's weirdly spelled. You drop the link tree, you'll find me on everything: Instagram, TikTok.
Or you can find her. We're linked simultaneously.
Yeah. So, anyways.
in our
yeah.
So.
Yeah, so and I'm Chibi Raincloud. I'm Pacific Northwest cosplayer. You can find me on Chibi Raincloud on everything, my email, my Twitch, my YouTube, my Insta. And I actually try to do an inspirational quote now that I have my board up where it needs to be. And last week was Assassination Classroom. This week is we each need to find our own inspiration, and sometimes it's not easy, which actually I think is perfect for this episode. And that's from Kiki's Delivery Service, which has a very special place in my heart.
Anime does have good lessons. You should learn your life lessons from anime. That's my other advice.
Exactly. And so with I think that was perfect for this episode, is honestly a lot of people lost inspiration during the pandemic, but go out and find it again. If this is something you're passionate about, if you were scared to pick it up, maybe you're new and you just don't know where to start, just do it. Buy a wig, buy a costume, go to the thrift store, put it together, see where inspiration takes you, because that's all you need to get started.
And I am Sam from Thermo Cosplay. You can find me at thermocosplay.com or Thermo Cosplay on Facebook, Twitter, which I never use, YouTube, and Instagram. You can also see me on the Costalk Live Discord. I am trying my best to get a bit more active there. And then in the future, you will see me on Geek News Network as one of their new podcasters.
I didn't need congratulations! Sorry, this is the first time I'm hearing this.
So yes, I will be the podcaster that teaches weekly with them.
Yay! Congratulations! That's exciting.
But thank you very much, Chaotic Neutral Cosplay and Fekshen, for joining us today. We super appreciate it. I apologize for being late, but I really enjoyed listening to the two of you and your experience in the past few years, and I love looking at your costumes. They're beautiful. And hopefully I'll encounter the two of you the next time I am in the Pacific Northwest.
I could have let us more group.
Yeah.
Yes. Always Lodosaur.
All right, everybody, we're going to bid you all adieu. It is past 1 o'clock, but we love you so much we stayed longer. So everybody have a great Sunday. Bye, everyone.
Bye.